It's the result that validates the principles of training based on what the person did. As we age, we have to evolve in terms of how our body is changing. Casey Viator, Mike Mentzer, Dorian Yates, they were all advocates of Arthur Jones's training philosophy. But yet, a training routine, the way I explain it, it's a recipe. An average person might know how to prepare chicken maybe 3-4 different ways. Maybe a chef can prepare the same chicken maybe 20 different ways. And each way is absolutely, mind-blowing delicious. So in the beginning, when I first started, I read so many articles by different athletes, whether it was Arnold and Robbie and Frank Zane and high intensity, Arthur Jones theory, different people. And everyone had a different principle of training. And each one of them had athletes that had exceptional physiques, from those methods of training. Like Casey Viator, Mike Mentzer, Dorian Yates, they were all advocates of Arthur Jones's training philosophy. But yet you had other athletes that trained differently, did more supersets, trained with higher set volumes, and still built extraordinary physiques. So for me, if you look at each athlete and you look at their physiques and their body of work, you can't say to yourself, this method is better than that method. But when you look at the two athletes, they both have outstanding and amazing physiques, but they followed a different path of training to accomplish it. So for me, if someone advocates a certain system and it worked well for them and it built their physique in a manner that you could say, wow, incredible, then you can't tell them, well, you should have been training like this because this would have been better for you. It's the result that validates the principles of training based on what the person did. But as we age, we have to evolve in terms of how our body is changing and how it's adapting to resistance training and continuously find means to stimulate the muscle to growth or to build and to maintain and so on. So for me, there's a lot of information, but I do believe the foundation and the core is full range of motion, high intensity. When I say high intensity, I mean like if you're doing a set of push-ups, I'm scaling it down to push-ups, I could say the bench or the squat, and let's say you could have done 10 or 12 reps and you only did 8, then that effort was a little bit conservative. But if you turn around and you came off of that set and in under a minute you jumped into a set of leg extensions and you did maybe 15 or 20 reps, now even though you held back on the squat, but you didn't allow the muscle much time to recover and you jumped into another exercise. The same thing if you did it with a bench. If you benched and maybe instead of 10 reps on the incline, you did 8, but you jump on a set of dips or you jump on a set of dumbbell flies in under a minute, now the muscle didn't get that time to really recover, and now it's working again. So it's going to stimulate the muscle higher, even though it didn't get it from the first exercise, perhaps it'll get it from the second one. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but in the beginning, you just got to work on building that foundation and then learn how to just really feel your body from within. And obviously that's a good gauge, because if you train chest and the next 2 days there's no soreness in your chest, or you train chest and you didn't get this phenomenal pump in your chest, then how do you tell yourself it was a great chest workout? You know what I mean? There has to be a pump. There has to be some soreness going into the next couple of days where you're like, oh man, I'm really feeling my quads. Man, I really feel my arms, after that workout. There's got to be some indication to measure the effort and how well did the muscle work, because that's part of the gauge. Because once we know the muscle worked to its full capacity, there's the potential for growth and there's going to be a presence of soreness. You just have to be very open to learning and growing with your body. And when something doesn't deliver, you can't hold on to it. You got to say to yourself, I thought I was doing this routine really, really well, but in 3 months, I don't see the results that I was looking for. So maybe there's something that's not right with this routine. Maybe the intensity is too low. Maybe the form's not as good. Maybe the reps are too low. Maybe the reps are too high. You know what I mean? It's something. Maybe I'm doing it too fast. You know, maybe my rest intervals are too long. Maybe my mind wasn't really locked into that body part the way it should have been, because I should have been able to feel if the muscle was really working the way it should have been. And for some reason, I could have been distracted and I didn't. There's always something to troubleshoot and to understand why the result you're chasing is not there. There's always a solution. You just have to dig deep enough to understand what's going on. Sometimes you could be overtraining. You're training really hard, but you're not giving your body enough time to recover. Therefore, your body's not going to respond well because the muscle gets to a point where it becomes numb. Once the effort is there and yet you still don't see the result, it could be the recovery too. You know, anytime the achiness goes from muscular to joint, you're overtraining. You're overtraining because now there's the second phase of it will kick in.
Were you prone to soreness, by the way? Sounds like that was the thing that you used as an indicator that you were training in the right fashion for the most part for your goals.
Pretty much. I mean, if I'm training biceps and I don't feel like I get a good pump and the next day my bodies don't feel a little ache, then I'm not going to really know, like, was the workout as good as I thought? You know, you got to get a good pump and there has to be some soreness. I mean, soreness is one of those things. It doesn't have to be crippling, but there should be some measure of it. Like when you overtrain, for example, and the muscle has been obliterated, you can go 4 days and the muscle's still not back.
I've had
it still feels like it's wiped out. That means you went over the edge. You went too deep. Right. But if you got soreness for about 48 hours, and then after that, you know, you could get to the next workout, then it was just right. But anytime it goes beyond that 48-hour cycle and it starts going into 3, 4, 5 days, you train too hard. You know what I mean? Because the body should not hurt that much, because now it's going to affect other workouts. Because anytime your body is in that extensiveness of depletion and soreness, it's drawing energy to heal. So when you want to do another workout, it can't hit that workout the way you want, because that energy can't go elsewhere when it's going into the body trying to repair itself.
And talk about how even if it's another body part,
even if it's another body part, you know, it's still gonna affect you. Right. Because remember, the body works as a whole. It's like when I talk to people about core, I said, next to your heart, your core is the most active area in your body. You can't get out of bed. You can't go to the bathroom. You can't go up and down the steps. You can't get dressed. You can't get into your car. You can't do nothing without using your core to some capacity. So if the core is compromised, every movement you make, you're going to feel it. You know, so when the body is in a very depleted physical state, it doesn't matter if you're saying to yourself, well, I just did a leg workout, but now I'm going to do a chest workout. But the chest workout still has to draw energy to do it. And if the body is that obliterated, you're going to feel a lot weaker. So what I would advocate for someone feeling that they have to get that workout in is you got to scale that workout down considerably. Lower the weights to where you're doing maybe 10 to 12 reps, not 8 to 10 or 6 to 8. And then try to do a lot more body weight movements and train at a faster pace. You know what I mean? That way you're going to have more intensity and you're not going to tax the nervous system and the joints and the core as extensively. So the body can still kind of work on its recovery without overtaxing it. You know, so there's different ways to go about it. You know, you gotta be smart.